Hello everyone and welcome to this, another episode of 2D Prototyping in Unity. My name is Kisanis. In the last episode, we took care of audio. We at least took a brief look at audio. Now, I didn't cover it in depth. I did not cover all of the mixer and everything else that's associated with audio in these versions of Unity. And maybe we will some later future series. In this series, guys, we're really trying to concentrate on the prototype, the basic game, all right? And everything I'm giving you is for a very basic game. We've already created a bunch of enemies, or I should say we created one enemy. We created the spiky rock right here, and I added an additional enemy. I hope you guys have too. I added this stationary spiky thing. All right, so currently I have two bad things that can hurt me. All right, and hopefully you guys have gone through and done the same thing. You guys should be adding little bits and pieces to your game as we move along, and make sure that you are putting into practice what I'm telling you, not just copying down what I'm saying. All right, put it into practice. Build some additional things to make sure that you understand exactly what we've gone over. Okay, so the spike, I created this guy here, a spiky enemy. I think I just called him, spikes right here, and I made him into a prefab. All right, we've got ourselves a prefab right here, and it is working in exactly the same manner. Usually this thing is going to be on the ground like this, but who cares? Anyway, I've got it set up as an enemy. If I didn't want our player to be able to shoot it, then I would say untagged. In fact, I'm going to untag it. I'm going to untag it from right here, actually, in the prototype. Untag in the prototype, and I'm going to untag the spiky rock in the prototype as well. Sorry, in the prefab as well. That way, when I shoot it now, I'm not going to actually damage it, right? Let me see. Boom, boom. And I can't actually, I can shoot that one, good. So both of these things here are set up now. They are no longer enemies, and I am no longer able to do damage. I'm also using this as a block. You can move it up and down if you want to, make sure that the gameplay works the way you want it to. Anyway, music's in there, great. Everything seems to be working. Now, we want to move past that. In this episode, and the next few episodes actually, I'd really like to start concentrating on building an enemy that's going to chase you. An enemy with some motion. All right, so what we're going to take a look at in the first episode is once again building the asset, so actually building the physical object. And in the second episode, in the follow-up episode, we'll look at the code that's going to control it. A lot of the code is already done. We've already got our enemy health, and we've got our enemy our enemy health and our enemy damage. So both those things are done. We're going to reuse that stuff. What we're going to have to add for code, though, is something that's going to allow our enemy to chase after our character. All right? So, everyone, let's get started. Okay, so the character that we're going to add, the simple AI character we're going to add, is located in, as long as you are following along, located in your sprites folder. We're looking for simple creature. It's right here. And it is extremely simple. All right, this is a very simple creature. It's only got two states. And we're going to take a look at it right now. This is a bit of a review, all right? This is a bit of a review. We're going to be going through and building this character from scratch, all right? And I'm going to do it quickly, very, very quickly here, because you've already seen it once, all right? So, the first thing, if we select our sprite itself, or the sprite sheet itself, we can see that it's currently a single 2D sprite, and we want to be a multiple sprite. Remember, we have additional images in here, not just one single thing, so we want to make sure that it is finding everything we want to find. Click on your sprite editor and find the character. And everything, if it's not already done so, make sure you say slice, say, instead of automatic, say grid. The grid is going to be 100 and 100. I know that because I created it. Slice, slice. All right, good. There's my little boxes. Everything is perfect. Make sure you guys, I know this already because I created this. So if you're using mine, it's 100 by 100. If you're not using mine, you're going to have to figure out exactly what your slices are. I can see I've got a bunch of different boxes down there. Let me close this if I can reach it. Close tab. Apply. Sorry, I didn't do that yet. Once you've done everything properly, you're going to see down here, you're going to see that instead of having one box like we had when I first before I sliced it, you're going to have multiple boxes, okay? And each one is going to have an individual character in it. Perfect, I have that. The first 1, 2, 3, and 4 are the idle, and 1, 2, and 3 are the charge. Basically, how this character is going to work, it's going to be standing in place. I'm not going to have it wander around or anything like that. It's just going to kind of be standing there. Ultimately, it's going to flip around and look around for a little bit of motion, but mostly it's just going to be going through its idle, And when the player comes within a specific distance of this character, it's going to turn and it's going to go into its charge mode. And the charge mode, basically, it's going to run into the character, and that's how it's going to do the damage. Okay, that's how it's planning on damaging the character. It smashes into the character, and that does the damage. Okay, that's how we're set up right now. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to actually build this little dude. To do so, grab him and drop him. All right, he's pretty teeny tiny right now. Let's do reset to make sure he's at 0, 0, 0. And he's a little bit small right now. So let's make him, I think the character was 2 times bigger. Let's make him 3 times bigger. All right, he's going to be, oops, that's 4. He's so big. There we go, 3 times bigger. That's not so bad. That's not so bad at all. I like that. And let's put him on top. So he's going to be in order layer. He's going to be the number 2. He can even be number 3 because I don't know if something in number 2. He's number 3 in our order layer. All right, there's a couple things we're going to add to this guy here. First thing we're going to add is we're going to add a number of 2D physics 2D objects, which are going to be colliders. The first one, circle collider. This first circle collider, like our other enemies, is going to be the distance in which the character will take damage. So it's going to be a trigger. If the character comes within our trigger, then it's going to physically hurt it. Now, what I want to do first, let me move him down. Let me move him down over here and over here for now. Just for now. We'll put him like this so I can see. That's kind of where I want him to stand. And I'm doing this because I want to make sure I line up these things properly. So there, the first one is a trigger. It's a circle collider I've decided to use. It's a good general shape for this character. I use a circle for this guy, but I use a square for this one. So choose based on the general shape of the object you're building. All right, it's a little bit big. Let's make our radius 0.35. That's pretty good. And let's move it in the X direction. That's pretty good. So if this collider touches our character, it's going to cause damage. That's the first one. It's a trigger. Perfect. I'm going to add another one. I'm going to add another 2D physics object, a circle collider. Beep. This is a little large. Let's make it 0.1. That's fine. And this is going to not be a collider. So basically, this is what's going to allow this character to bump into things, or the player to stand on top of them. All right. So I'm going to leave it about that size. I'm going to, let's put this down first of all, because I have to have it by his feet, because I want his feet, oh, right there is not bad. Let's make it 1.7, that should be fine. Let's move this over a bit as well, just because I'm anal about this kind of stuff, right there. All right, basically, what I've done is I've aligned this thing here with the ground here. Can I shift click? I can. I want to make sure that this little circle here is aligned with the ground. It's going to be sitting on top of this collider, all right? So ultimately, this guy's going to be like, oh, I don't want to click on both. I almost moved them all. Let's go find our creature. Where is he? Simple creature. He's going to be sitting up a little bit higher. He's going to be somewhere around there. Or I could just move this thing up and it'll be fine. Let's move this down a little bit. Move this to 0.6. All right, so that's pretty good. I'm going to rename this guy right away to simple AI creature. Okay, great. Boom, hit return. For now, I think that's all we're going to actually need. Oh, no, that's a lie. That is a big lie because we haven't added in any of our animators or anything like that yet. So, the next thing we're going to add into this, this creature is an animator. And just like we did with the character, it's very, very easy to do. My first 1, 2, 3, and 4, so from here, and I'm shift clicking onto there. The first 4 images are going to be the idle. Okay, I know that because I created it. I'm going to take it, I'm going to drag it, and I'm going to drop it right here on the simple AI creature. When I do so, I get a new box, and I'm going to call this creature idle. Great. Right away, I can look over here inside of my inspector, and I can see that I've got myself a brand spanking new animator that was automatically created for me. First, that's good. Secondly, what we're going to do is we're going to add our second animation, which is going to be this running or charging animation. I'm going to grab it, I'm going to highlight it, I'm going to drag it, and I'm going to drop it on AI Simple Creature. Once again, get this awesome window. Let's call this creature run. Alright, so that is my running animation. That's the 2 states I've got for this character. And I didn't switch over to animation, which I should have. So let's find them in here. There's creature idle and creature run. I'm going to physically move them both over to animation. And I'm going to physically move this animator over as well into animation. Boom. Okay, great. Now, with my creature selected, I can look at my animator, and there it is. The animator, just like for our character, is the states in which this creature can be in. In our case, this creature can either be in an idle state or a running state, and we have to say how it switches back and forth. All right, that means we're going to be adding an additional parameter up here, or our first parameter for that matter. So plus sign to add a parameter, and it's going to be a bool. We're adding a Boolean state that's saying you are either charging or you are not moving. All right. This bool is going to be called is charging. All right. Is charging is our bool. If it's not charging, then we want it to be idle. If it is charging, we want it to be in the run state. Knowing that, we can right-click, make transition, and drop it off. All right. We can click, right-click, make transition, and drop it off. That gives me my 2 arrows. Perfect. Okay, so going from idle to run, click on the arrow, and this is, we're going to go down here to conditions, and we're going to say plus. And if our creature is charging, so if this is true, then we want it to go from idle to run. So far, so good. And I'm just going to make this a little smaller. There we go. All right, now, if our creature is running, and he suddenly is no longer running, he's no longer charging, then if this condition, if is charging is false, he's no longer running, we want him to go into the idle. Perfect. Let's just change this a little bit. Let's move this. Meow. All right, so those are our 2 conditions, and in a later time we will take a look at switching between the 2 with code. Okay, so first thing, let's go back to our scene. Let's take a look to make sure everything looks all right here. If I hit play, what happens? All right, our guy is idling. He's idling way, way, way too quickly. So let's go and adjust that a little bit. We can go back to our animator. We can click on creature idle, and we can say, whoa, speed is too high. Let's make it at half speed. Is that good? Let's take a look and see. Still a little bit too fast. You know, play around with that number, guys. It doesn't really matter for now. I'll put it at 0.25 and check it out. You know, okay, that looks fine for now. I'm not going to keep fiddling with it. That is up to you guys to find a good speed for this thing to run at. 0.25 looks fine to me. Okay, there are just a couple more things I want to add to this enemy creature on this layer of it. All right, on this layer. There's a couple more things I want to add. If we take a look at our creature right now, we've got ourselves our transform node, awesome. We've got ourselves our sprite render so we can see it great. Our 2 colliders to make sure this thing here is acting the same way as one of these. So if I didn't do anything else right now, it's got the same physical shape as this thing here or this thing here. In order for me to actually make it into an enemy like this guy or this guy, I want to make sure first of all that I am an enemy. So enemy. And I want to make sure that we can shoot this guy. All right, so he's shootable. And he's an enemy. Great, I want to make sure of that. The next thing I want to make sure I do is I have to add the scripts that actually turn him into a physical enemy. So let's say I just go in here and I say add component, and I say existing scripts, and I find the enemy damage. Boom, right there. That's added it. And let's say this guy does a lot of damage. Let's say he does 10. So 2 hits is going to kill our character. He does 10 damage, and he can do damage every 0.5 seconds. So he is pretty darn dangerous, and when he hits you, he adds a lot of hit. He adds a pushback of 15. And lastly, I'm going to say add component script, and I want to make sure we can kill this guy before he gets us. So I'm going to say enemy health, and let's make him a 4-hit. A 4-hit dude, so let's give him a hit of, let's say, 40. His death effects, let's go back to our prefabs, and we are going to give our player death effects as well. That'll be his thingy. And lastly, we're looking for our enemy slider. Same as we did this one here, we want to actually add our enemy health GUI, which I think is this, right? Is it my enemy health GUI? Yes, it is. I'm going to take my enemy health GUI, I'm going to drag it, I'm going to drop it onto my simple creature. There it is, far, far, far too big. Control Z that. I'm going to take it, I'm going to, watch this, it's easier to do this way. I'm going to take it, I'm going to drag it, I'm going to drop it off anywhere. I missed. Anywhere into our scene. All right, perfect. Drag it into our scene that way. I'm going to move it onto my guy where I like it. Let's say I kind of like it. I kind of like it like that. I didn't have to resize it that way. By dropping it immediately onto the canvas instead, it didn't take on the scale of my character, which was 3 times bigger. All right, so right there, I kind of like that. Maybe right about there. I like that. That looks good. I want to make sure I go into find it. Where is it? Where are you? Drag it. Drop it off my simple AI character. There we go. Perfect. And the last thing I want to do is, with my thing down here, I want to extend this. I want to find my enemy health slider. I want to turn it off. That's the state it should be in. And the last thing I want to do, go back to simple AI character, find it down here, my enemy slider, and drag it and drop it in. Just like that. Now, this character will work exactly like one of these spikies. Watch. See? Boom, he's already hurting me. Boom, I can shoot him. I can only shoot once every second, twice, 3 times, and 4 times, and I can kill him, and there's my stuff. So far, so good. It is acting exactly as one of our things over here. Now, there's a couple of things that I want to change, that I'm going to need to change now. Currently, this guy here doesn't move. He is not affected by gravity or anything else, and we really want him to be affected by gravity. We know that means that we require a rigid body 2D. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create an additional layer. Okay, I'm going to say create. I'm going to say create an empty game object, and I'm going to call this one here. I don't know. Let's call it. What is that guy? Killer Boar. I don't know what he is. Killer Boar. All right, there's my Killer Boar. I am going to set this thing here to 0, zeros, and zeros. And with this in place, what I want to do is I want to add to this my Killer Boar. My Killer Boar is, I want to add my simple AI creature to the Killer Boar. Bam. So now the entire thing is kind of stuck together, and that is great. That's perfect, exactly what I want. What I want to do on the Killer Boar node, on the Killer Boar node is where I'm going to add the movement scripts and that kind of thing. So what I want to do here is I actually want to add a couple of things. I want to add, first of all, a rigid body. We already talked about that. We want a rigid body, physics 2D, rigid body 2D. We want a rigid body on this guy because he's going to be affected by gravity. If he runs over the cliff, I want him to disappear. I want him to actually be physically moved around. All right? If I hit play right now, watch, he's going to move down. He's going to fall into place. He's going to be set up where we like him. Okay? Back it up. With a rigid body there, that's great. I'm going to add another component. I'm going to add a physics 2D component, and this time I'm going to add a box collider 2D. And the reason why I've done this, let me actually put this Killer Boar, simple AI character. Let's put it back to 0 and 0 right there. The Killer Boar, the Killer Boar thing here has got a box collider on it, and that box collider is going to be a trigger. It is my detection zone. It is the zone in which this AI character, this AI creature, is going to be able to say, hey, I see somebody here. There's my enemies here. I'm going to charge them. So it's going to be a trigger, first of all. And I'm going to make it an appropriate size. How big do I want it? I don't know. Maybe at least as long as a platform. Like that. And I make it a little bit taller, too. I want to make it tall enough. Let's make it this tall, and let's move it up a bit. Like that. So this way, if the character tries to jump over him, let's say the character's running along, the boar sees him, he says, oh, there's a bad guy. The boar starts charging, and our character jumps. He's going to leave this trigger zone. Now, I'm going to make this a little longer, actually. Let's make this, just for fun, 14. So it's pretty wide. If he's being charged and he jumps out of the zone, this guy's going to say, whoa, he's gone, and he won't. When he falls back in, he's going to flip and charge after our character again. Okay, I think that is all I need to add for the Killer Boar asset. Okay, in the next episode, guys, we are going to add the AI that's going to allow this character to chase you. Okay. We're going to leave it there. I think we're probably at least 20 minutes. I went through that very, very quickly. If you guys need to, watch this episode a few times. Make sure you've got all the things in there that you need in order to start creating this bad guy. All right, I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, let me know with a thumbs up. If you didn't, a thumbs down is perfectly fine. At least, though, if you give me a thumbs down, let me know why you don't like it, okay? Say, I didn't like how fast you talked. You went too quick in this exercise. That might be the case. A lot of it was review. Only the stuff we did right here on this killer boar node, that's the only additional stuff we've done so far. Everything else is exactly like one of these other non-AI enemies, all right? But if you're having a problem, watch it several times, okay? Guys, I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, thumbs up. Thumbs down if you didn't. Comments down below, and if you haven't done so, please take a few seconds to subscribe. Have yourselves a wonderful day, everyone.